All right, I'm back. So this is going to be part three. So part three is going to be navigating the GoDaddy account. This is my current GoDaddy account. Um, and what this is basically doing is we're going to find the server and we're going to go in it and we're going to get to work. So there's a lot of ways to navigate the GoDaddy account, but there's one way that when it comes to hosting is the way that I always show customers how to do. And the reason I do this is because scrolling down typically confuses people because they have to look for specific things. If they have like a very big account, like mine has some size to it, um, requesting someone scroll down can take them a long time to find what they're finding. So the first thing I always tell people to do is to head to the My Products page. Like with everything else with GoDaddy, you can see the URL in the top. But we're going to go straight across here, and right beside the GoDaddy emblem, we're going to see 9 little boxes or circles. We're going to click on these, and what this is going to do is it's going to bring up the quick links. Now, I always use the quick links because, like I said, scrolling down GoDaddy is a huge pain, especially on bigger accounts. So we're going to click the 9 boxes, and we don't care about domains right now. We don't care about websites. Websites is always going to refer to the website builders. We care about hosting and WordPress. Now, all of the plans that I explained to you, I do currently own in my account. Which makes it a lot easier for me to kind of explain as to what's going on. So the first thing we're going to address is the Managed WordPress again. Now, the reason I'm addressing the Managed WordPress first, and I'm going to do it as 2 completely separate videos, because cPanel takes more time than the Managed WordPress. The Managed WordPress is easy peasy. So as you can see here, if it says the product WordPress, that means you're on a Managed WordPress system of some sort. And then once again WordPress, and then cPanel. So easy, we click this manage, we click that button, it shows us all of the hostings that we have. What we want to do is head over, because we're going to work on the managed WordPress sites. We're going to head over, and just a quick note while I'm here. If you have an open plan or you wanting to build a new managed WordPress site, in my case I have that 5-pack I was talking about earlier, because I am a GoDaddy reseller. I have that 5-pack, so I can create a WordPress site, and what that's going to do is it's going to open up a new WordPress for me. So I'm not going to do that right now. You know what, actually let's go ahead. So we're going to do create a new WordPress site. I don't have to purchase a new plan, so I'm just going to say I want to start building a new WordPress site. So we're not going to actually do this. I'm just going to show you the process real quick. Then I'm going to show you the process for the migration as well, because both of those will work. So we'll come here, and GoDaddy has like this tutorial. In most cases, this stuff is irrelevant if you're a developer, because you already know what you're doing, so you don't need this. But if you're a layman, then yeah, we can click on all of the boxes that make sense. Then we can go continue. Oops. We can go continue. Then it's going to ask you where you want your server. So obviously, if you're in the States, you want the server here. If you're in Europe, you want the server in Europe. If you're in Asia, you also want the server in Asia. In Europe. So because those are always going to be closer than the States. All of that stuff is closer than the States. So you always want it there. We're going to set ours to North America. We're going to go continue. So we're going to build our own stuff because we're developers, right? Well, we're designers in this case. So we're building our own stuff. So we're not going to use the GoDaddy template. We're going to go continue again. And it's going to ask you for a username. So username has to be all lowercase. So we're just going to do Master Mike. And then if I click this, it's going to create the site. We don't want to create the site. There's no real reason for me to do that. I'm just going to take you into one of the other sites. So once we click this create site button, it's going to provision this site. Actually, you know what? The only thing is sometimes it takes it a while to create these sites. But we'll go through the process just because this is an actual course. So we're going to let it run and see how fast this goes through. So while this is going through, we'll kind of talk about just a few things that'll happen afterwards here. So what it's going to do is just going to install a default GoDaddy default WordPress, like a 17 or a 12 or whatever those WordPress themes are. And then you'll be able to go through. So right here we have two options: go to dashboard and edit the site. Once the site itself is finished setting up, basically what's going to happen is it's going to kind of open these two tiers up for us. Like I said, it can take a little while for that to kind of run through, but I'll go over Managed WordPress while that's happening, and some of the benefits of Managed WordPress, so that you completely understand what you're getting. So with Managed WordPress, GoDaddy does update one thing for you for free, or that's included in the plan. So Managed WordPress, GoDaddy will update the actual WordPress version when it's available and we deem it stable. We'll update it at that point. Up until that point, GoDaddy will not update that for you. So GoDaddy will not. You can't call in and request an update. Once you're there, you can't downgrade from that version. So let's say, for instance, in this case, we say, okay, your site is ready. So we're not going to go to edit site because we already know what's inside of a WordPress at this point, where you should know. And it redirected us into the site anyway. So let's go ahead and do this. So when you're inside of a WordPress, the GoDaddy gear here, and this is only on Managed WordPress, you can come to this gear. It gives you the option to flush cache and stuff like that. We're not going to go over that. That's going to be more in our troubleshooting scenario if I do decide to do videos on WordPress troubleshooting. But we want to go back to hosting overview, and this is going to jump us back into the WordPress. But that was a very unnatural way for you to get there. So what I'm going to do is walk back through here. So we're going to go manage my products on the 9 squares. And the only reason I'm doing this is so that you can see the process. We're going back to the to the circles, hosting in WordPress. And you see that the new WordPress has been created. I'm going to go ahead and show you something real quick on here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the 3 dots, and the 3 dots gives us information. So we're going to do overview, but if you don't need the overview or any of this stuff, you can just click WP admin. That'll jump you right back to where we were just now. So as you can see, you have the option to remove the WordPress site from here. We are not going to do that at this time. We're going to go to overview. So overview is our action center, and this is where we are going to break down what we need to be doing in here and why you need to be in here. So this is the action center, and the action center will kind of tell you what's going on. So there's some very important things you need to look out for here. The most important thing is adding the custom domain, which is an easy day. We're not going to go through the process of adding a domain at this point. That button is self-explanatory. You'll click add domain, and then it's going to ask you which domain you want to use. Now, one of the important things, because this is a teaching lesson, I'll go ahead through it for you, is we want to put in a domain here. So as we put in the domain, it'll give us the option to continue, and then what it'll do is it'll basically assign that domain to the account. Then this is a quick not a disclaimer, but a warning. If your website is already hosted, if this domain is connected to another GoDaddy server as the primary domain, which I'll explain to you later, if it's connected as a primary domain, it will not allow the domain to connect to the server in most cases. It's going to give you an error. In that case, you need to either A, find out where the domain is connected, or B, call support, and they will take a look at it and see if they can find out if there's something besides that. But that's the normal reason that will fail. But we're not going to assign this domain at this point. We're going to go ahead and close that. So when you first initially set up a managed WordPress system, settings is usually where we want to be. So under settings, we can see the WordPress version, the PHP version. As you can see, you have no options next to the WordPress version. But PHP, you can take up and down. As you can see, the lowest it looks like you can go is going to be 5.6. and the highest you can go is 8.1. So we're just going to take her up to 8.1 because this is a new website. And as you can see, PHP changes can take up to 10 minutes. One important thing about PHP, GoDaddy does not change PHP on our own. We do not touch this unless you have like a very old PHP version and we've disconnected the PHP altogether. But you usually will get some sort of email about it. However, PHP is incredibly important, and let me explain to you why. Adjusting PHP levels can break the website because WordPress has plugins, themes, and all of that extra stuff. Adjusting this can break the website. The beauty of this is as long as the PHP version still exists. So say for instance, I just moved to 8.1 and I found 8.1 broke my website. I can switch back to 8.0 and that will usually fix anything that was broken on the website. So easy day, no problems at all. If the WordPress version breaks on your website, you have to know backend to some degree in order to fix it. And maybe at some point I'll go into actual troubleshooting. Maybe later, maybe like something a little bit more advanced, some basic WordPress troubleshooting just to get your website up and running so you can get into it, which is really important, because otherwise you just get that critical error on the front of the website, which doesn't help you much. So this is what we're here for. Before we go into the SSH and SFTP, because that's going to take me a bit, we have the experience improvement plan, which is kind of irrelevant. You can turn it off and on. That's up to you. It has no bearing on anything we're talking about here. The CDN. So the CDN enables your website to basically be cached and will allow it to run faster. There's one problem with the CDN, and what that is if you're running ads and sometimes SEO, the CDN has its own IP address, has its own domain name. It uses this, and sometimes that'll actually cache on your pages and affect SEO. So normally I tell people to disable the CDN based off of that. I've had a lot of customers call in and they, man, why is my website showing at 7MN instead of at my domain name? And most times it's the CDN. So data center USA, North America, and then we have the IP address. So IP addresses, we all know, is the name, is where everything points. So this is only relevant when you're connecting up to the domain. So we're going to kind of skip that from now until maybe if I decide to go through a tutorial on connecting up the domain, which you guys can holler at me on that as well. And then we have here, so every time, so this SSH SFTP login. So WordPress uses port 22, managed WordPress that is. And when you create a site, GoDaddy gives you a CNAME. That's what this is. And this is so that you can build the website without actually having a domain in the account, which I would recommend that when you buy your website, that if you don't already have the domain, you take advantage of the free domain that they sometimes give with it. So we're going to do change. And what this is going to do is just give us the information for the SFTP or SSH. So we have our host name, we have our port, we already know what our IP address is. We don't have a password in this case. So the way that this is currently set up, we have to create a new login. And then we're going to, so this will delete anything else that's in there. If you want SSH on, you can turn it on at this point, but we're not going to go into SSH. But as you can see, if we click the next button, this is going to give us what we need to get into a FileZilla or CyberDuck. You cannot use Dreamweaver with this, obviously, because this is WordPress. But CyberDuck and any FTP client, you have your password, you have your username, and then we close. So let's go back through it. You have to copy that stuff down because it will not hold it. It will change it every single time you click create a new login. So host name, port 22. We know the IP address is 72.167.242.158. And you click create a new one, create a new login. It's going to regenerate a username and password. You will copy these down and put them somewhere safe or put them into your FTP to gain access to FTP on the WordPress. So let's take a quick look here at what we have in front of us. So we're going to go down here a bit, and we see here, this is the easy part, add a custom domain. So you can actually shop GoDaddy from here. You can click add a domain, and that's going to add the domain that you want on there. And then we have this. So you can add additional domains here without the website showing up on them. And then you can do new primary domain. So new primary domain just allows you to, takes you to the same spot. It's just when you type in the domain will become the primary domain on the account. So since all my domains are currently in use on other websites that I've created, I can't really demonstrate that for you at this point, but we'll figure it out there. So here we go. Let's take a quick look at the services here. So WordPress has backups, which we spoke about earlier. If you click this button, it will just simply take you to the backup section. So since this one hasn't done any backups, I can't really show you what that looks like. So we'll jump to one of the other WordPress later. It says purchase an SSL. This is an older plan, so this does not have an SSL built into it. So I would have to purchase an SSL in some cases. Well, actually, it looks like they actually gave me an SSL here. So they may have changed that. GoDaddy changes a lot, and it's been a long time since I've used the old plan. So let's take a look here. So security, WordPress does not come with security. So we can talk about malware and stuff later, but not right now. And then Microsoft Office. So you can pretty much disregard all of this stuff except for your backups and your SSL. Then your plan details will be here, and this will allow you to do upgrades and stuff directly through the plan. If you have questions, I would recommend that you speak with an agent on it. And the only reason I'm saying that is because this is an old plan on mine, and then yours upgrades have different effects. One, you're going to get charged for it. Two, you may not have a adequate upgrade path. Or three, your upgrade could be a waste of money because you may need to go to a business hosting. All right, so let's go ahead and head up. We're getting up to close to the 20-minute mark. And I don't too much want to run the videos too far over that level. So staging site. Staging site will only show up on WordPress sites that are above the basic. So Deluxe, Ultimate, e-commerce, and the Pro 5, those types will have a staging site, which in general is just a website that you can, once you have your production site, you can click on create a staging site, and it will make a copy of your production site, and you can do all of your work there. And what that'll do is that will keep you from messing up your actual production site. So that's what you want to use a staging site for. Any updates, any changes, anything like that, any testing you want to do on your staging site. So we go to tools, and this is where our file manager is. So this is the reason why you don't necessarily need an FTP in most cases. If you do need one, we go to file browser under tools. So we see tools, file browser open, and this is just going to open up our files for us. Now, one thing to be very careful with here is you need to open the file browser. So we can see here it's open. We can see our WP admin and everything like that. We can upload, we can download, we can copy. So say for instance, if I click on something, then we can see the download button is clickable at this point. We do open, and that's going to show us what we have. Now this is very important, the three little dots here. So let me go back to the root. So the three little dots here is going to have archive, unarchived, permissions, and then show hidden files. If you're troubleshooting WordPress, show hidden files are important because that is where your htaccess file is going to be hidden. And oftentimes that's where a lot of your problems are going to come from, your htaccess file. So you need to unhide that if you want to make edits, but you do that at your own risk. I am not responsible for anything you do to that htaccess file. So just keep that in mind. It is a very important file. So you don't want to just go messing with it willy-nilly if you don't have any experience with it. So that was an easy day. We're going to pop back over to settings, and I'm going to remove this website. So say for instance, you no longer want the website. We're just going to do remove, type remove in here, confirm, and it's just going to delete that WordPress, and it brings us back to the screen. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump us into this old WordPress. This is the old girl here. She's been here for a minute. And I just want to show you the backup system, and then we'll get up out of here. So backup system, easy day. So we can see here that this website has been running for a very long time. So it has a whole ton of backups. So if I click on this, it'll kind of show me, but since this isn't a functional website, it's not showing me what the image should look like. And normally you'll see the front of what the website looks like. It'll be right there. And then you can just either download a backup, which we can click here, and we want to choose files and folders, download all, any of these will work, and that'll give you a copy of your website. Restore does the exact same thing, except for it's just going to overwrite, and it says it here, this will permanently overwrite any unsaved versions of your site, and you cannot undo. This is what you do if you've managed to break or delete something. That can sometimes fix whatever your issue is, as long as it's not like, so with sometimes with WooCommerce that doesn't fix it, because WooCommerce is a very, very crazy plugin. So that, my friends, is Managed WordPress and navigating the Managed WordPress. There's a lot more to Managed WordPress, but this is your basics of Managed WordPress. How to get into the Managed WordPress. Let me show you that right now. So we have WP admin. If we're in the WP admin, easy peasy. We have backups where we do our backups. We can set when we want the backups to happen. We can run an on-demand backup. We have our tools that'll give us the option to go into the file manager. We have our settings that's going to list out everything, changing domains, changing this types, changing your username and password, and then your database is in here. So we're not going to go too far into the database, but we click view. We click this. This is going to open up our database. We're just going to copy pasta this stuff from here. So copy, and copy the port number, copy the username. Oop, oh, that worked. And then copy the password. So you can view all of this stuff by clicking the little I, but we're not going to do that. And we're going to sign in and continue. And this is going to jump us back into the database. So we're not going to go into database troubleshooting because that's kind of advanced. We're not going to really do much in here at all. I just want you to see where the database is so you know how to get in here. You do have full access. This is my PHP, my admin, and these are SQL databases, so you can make alterations and changes in here. Just be careful. If you break something, it is broken. You will have to do a restore, and if it's broken too bad, you may have to do like a full restore. But that is Managed WordPress in a nutshell, getting in and out of the Managed WordPress, and finding the Managed WordPress. So what I'm going to do is close here, and then I will pick back up on cPanel, which the cPanel is a lot. So that might take us a little bit longer than the Managed WordPress system. So I will see you shortly.